Working? Okay, so I have a very big voice, maybe. Can you hear me? Okay, welcome to our local League of Women Voters 2025 Candidates Forum. My name is Nancy Goldberg, and I am the chair of the leadership team of our local league. Our league is proud to be a part of history in Highland Park that began 97 years ago in March of 1928, just 8 years after the ratification of the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote. Our league provides ongoing voter registration, educational programs, issue advocacy, and lobbying at state and national levels, and candidate forums and voters' guides for local elections every 2 years. At our league's annual meeting last June, I found out that we were not going to have Elaine Adler, who has done candidate forums forever, that she was taking a hiatus, and I put out a call for, can somebody take up that chair, be that chair, and Janet Krebel-Faraci volunteered to do that. So we got really fortunate. Anyway, Janet is a retired architect and an active artist. She loves travel, and she and her husband Henry spend considerable time in Italy. In addition to the league, she is a 30-year volunteer with Deborah's Place, an organization in Chicago that serves women who have been homeless. She is active in her church and plays in the bell choir. Please welcome our Candidates Forum Chair, Janet Krebel.
I think you've already noticed that the microphones do not seem to be working. They've been fine, and I don't know why, but the guy running it has left, so we're kind of stuck. Those of you in the back may want to move in closer. That's up to you, but we're hoping you can hear everybody. We'll do our best to speak up. I want to introduce our moderator. She is from the Lake Forest Lake Bluff League of Women Voters. So what that means to you is that she's not a constituent of the candidates running for office today. She has served on the Lake Bluff Board of Architectural Review, the Plan Commission, also in Lake Bluff. When she's not engaged with architectural drawings, she is a trainer at Target. In addition to the league, she devotes volunteer time to Lake Bluff Open Lands and to Green Drinks Libertyville. And welcome, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you. While I appreciate the applause, we will try and zip along. As you can see, there are 7 people in front of you. There are actually 8 candidates on the ballot. 7 were able to be here. And you can, unfortunately, only vote for 4. So we will try and move through quickly. It will be difficult with so many candidates. I would like to say, straight out of the gate, that the candidates are here to ask for your vote. They're directed to speak to you. And they're not having a debate with each other. They will be speaking directly to you, and we would like you to refrain from applause or any other participation. It's really the candidates' time. This will be recorded, and you can see it on YouTube. If you want to relive every precious moment, we're just glad you're here. So, to move on, we will have 3 segments, and we will begin with opening remarks. The candidates have drawn ballots to see who goes first. They are seated in that order. And our first person to speak with some prepared opening remarks will be Jarrett Fishman.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jarrett Fishman. I'm a parent of 2 D112 students. My daughter Eva is at Northwood, and my son Evan is at Red Oak. I've lived in Highland Park since 2008, and professionally, I'm a civil rights lawyer and public servant. What motivated me to run is my belief in the power and promise of public education, a belief my mother, an elementary school teacher, instilled in me. I'm running because our district has the unique opportunity to ensure every student reaches their full potential. That opportunity to deliver for every student, from the 3rd generation Highland Parker to the newly arrived immigrant, to the child with special needs or high academic achiever. I want to be a part of the board team that delivers exceptional educational outcomes for all of them. Let me tell you about my journey to be a candidate. I spent nearly a decade volunteering in support of our schools before I raised my hand to run. I took a leadership role in 2018 when I became the co-president of the Bilingual Parent Advisory Committee and remain on their executive board today. That parent group role led me to be selected to address our long-term facilities issues through the referendum. I worked to shape and then help pass the referendum in 2022. I was on both the Citizens Task Force and on the referendum campaign. I worked hard to resolve our most pressing structural issues. To help our entire district, I was selected for the D112 caucus, strategic planning discovery team, aided equity initiatives, and volunteered at countless PTO events. What distinguishes me from the non-incumbents in the field is the 9 years of work I've done in the district. I love this community. I want to continue contributing to our public schools, and I hope to earn your vote.
Okay, thank you. Our next speaker will be Lori Fink.
Hello, my name is Lori Fink, and I'm excited to be running for the North Shore School District's 112 Board of Education. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for providing this forum. As a parent of 2 children in the district, my son, a 3rd grader at Ravinia, and my daughter, a 1st grader at Red Oak, I am deeply invested in our schools. With advanced degrees in education, including an Ed Specialist degree in school leadership and a Master in teaching, I have spent my career fostering strong school, home, and community partnerships. I have served many roles in education, including, but not limited to, a school administrator, instructional coach, English language and bilingual coordinator, director of operations, executive board team member, parent engagement leader, co-teacher, classroom teacher, compliance facilitator, and a few more on that list. I understand the complexities of school systems and how to support policies that are measurable and impactful. With all of this experience, I also understand the role of a school board member. Our job is to set policy while leaving the day-to-day operations to the district and staff. I believe I understand what it's like to be on the other side of that policy, the impact on students, families, and staff. Beyond education, I'm a dedicated leader in Highland Park and Highwood. I serve on the board of the Parks Foundation of Highland Park, ensuring that all of our families can access Park District programs regardless of income. As president of ORT Chicago, I support education in underserved communities worldwide. I also lead free yoga at the Ravinia's Farmers Market and serve as the Cultural Assemblies Coordinator for Red Oaks PTO, bringing diverse programming to our students. I believe a successful board is a diverse board, and if elected, I will be the only school administrator on the board, bringing a perspective that is currently lacking among both current members and candidates. I am committed to listening and ensuring exceptional academic and social outcomes for all. I believe we can create an environment where District 112 is the best place to work and learn.
Okay, thank you very much. Our next speaker will be Ryan Morgan.
Hello, my name is Ryan Morgan. I'm a proud husband of Tanya and father of 2 amazing boys, Walker, a 3rd grader at Oak Terrace, and Wyatt, who splits his days between Montessori and the pre-K program. My background spans engineering, education, and business. I hold a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, a master's in teacher education, and I also have an MBA. I spent 8 years teaching math and physics in secondary education, and I currently work in the corporate world with experience in finance and marketing, and I train engineers on a weekly basis. I'm deeply involved in our local school community. My wife and I support various PTO events, and I'm a co-leader of the Oak Terrace chess program. I've also had the privilege of judging the D112 robotics competition, which unites our schools in a cross-town spirited showcase of talent. As a board member, my focus will be on 3 priorities: providing an exceptional education for all of our students, ensuring smart financial management, and maintaining safety and security. I believe in listening to all voices to make informed decisions. This includes students, teachers, administrators, parents, and the community at large. I'm committed to ensuring that our students develop both strong academic and interpersonal skills while balancing the use of technology. We will proceed with the ongoing construction projects while prioritizing curriculum development, supporting our teachers with evidence-based learning tools. I'm committed to working with my fellow board members and the distinct leadership team. Together, we will strengthen our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. The next candidate we will hear from is Bradley Hergott.
Hi, I'm Bradley Hergott. I'm running for the District 112 School Board. By trade, I'm an attorney and a consultant. I went to University of Michigan for law school. I got my MBA from the Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern, and my practice has been varied. I've been a litigator, I've worked on in-house compliance programs, and I now run my own consulting company where I focus mostly on data privacy. I have significant board experience. I served for a decade on the board of directors for Erie Neighborhood House. Erie Neighborhood House is a 155-year-old organization that serves the immigrant community. They've got 1,500 participants that they service a year, ranging from early child care through adult services. I also spent 9 years as a board member of a school. This is Legal Prep Charter Academies. This is a school that I helped to found, and I spent 9 years on the board there. This is a school that we founded because we felt that there was a lack of diversity in the pipeline, in the talent pipeline for the education, for the legal field. And so we wanted to address that in a hands-on way. We founded that school, and it's in the west side of Chicago. 300 students continue to go there today. I've got 2 kids in the district. We've been in the district since pre-K, and I participated in the strategic planning discovery process. I was part of that committee, and I'm running because I want to see that strategic vision implemented in our district. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next speaker will be Art Kessler.
Hi everyone. First I want to thank the League of Women Voters for putting on this forum. And I want to thank all of you for having enough interest in our schools to come listen today. There's never been a more exciting time to be involved in District 112. We've made remarkable progress from where we were 8 years ago. We restored fiscal responsibility, we renovated buildings, we instituted a culture of continuous improvement, and most importantly, we've achieved record student achievement. Now we have an incredible foundation from which to take another giant leap forward, and I want to be a part of that. My reasons for running are simple. I'm proud of what we've accomplished during my 2 terms on the board, but there's more work to be done as we continuously strive for excellence. With the possibility of 4 of 7 seats on the board turning over this year, and losing all 4 of us who were elected 8 years ago, I believe it's important to maintain some continuity and institutional knowledge to ensure a seamless transition for Dr. Schroeder, who will become our new superintendent this year. I'm running with no personal agenda except to provide a world-class education for each and every student in 112, and to give our community the best possible return on their invested tax dollars. Strong schools drive strong property values, which we've seen grow 53% over the past 5 years, faster than our surrounding suburbs. I grew up here and attended District 112 schools, as did my 2 sons. I have an MBA from Northwestern and 26 years of private equity experience running 4 companies during that time. I have extensive nonprofit experience in addition to my 8 years on the school board. I've been on the board of the Dystonia Medical Research Foundation for 28 years, serving 9 years as its president. I've also served on the board of Congregation Macomb-Sola Lakeside, and am currently working on a multi-year financial plan for the congregation. To maintain continuity and ensure progress, I hope to re-elect myself and Bennett Lasco for another 5 years.
Okay, thank you. Our next speaker will be Sharon Levy-Mark.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this important event. My name is Sharon Mark. I have lived in Highland Park for 12 years, and my husband and I have 2 children currently attending district schools, who I'm lucky enough to have here to root me on. I'm running for D112 School Board because I think it's important to continue the momentum of the financial turnaround and facilities upgrade spearheaded by Dr. Lubefeld and the current board, and return the conversation to improving educational outcomes for all. Professionally, I've worked in public finance for almost 20 years, and I have a deep understanding of Illinois school district finance in particular, which allows me to understand the nuts and bolts of the district's finances and assure that your tax dollars are well spent. I have served on a number of boards, most recently for the Chicago Children's Theater. This experience provides me with the understanding that the job of the school board is to set policies, hire and evaluate the superintendent, and adopt a responsible budget. It is not a school member's job to manage the day-to-day operations of the district or to prioritize one group of stakeholders over another. I've spent the last 2 months holding public gatherings and meeting with various groups and stakeholders to hear what is important to them. In particular, I've made an effort to reach out to the dual language community to listen to their opinions on the program and its future. If elected, I will continue to make myself available to our D112 community. As a school board member, I commit to listening, processing, asking questions, and making decisions that are best for all our stakeholders: students, parents, teachers, administrators, and taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, with our final opening remark, we will hear from Bennett Lasko.
Hi, everybody. First of all, thank you to the League of Women Voters for putting together this event and for your long history of promoting civic engagement in the community. And I echo my colleague, Mr. Kessler, thanking all of you for taking time out of your day to be interested enough to come out and hear us. I'm Bennett Lasko. I've served 8 years on the Board of Education, including 2 years as the board president. Obviously, I'm running for re-election, so I'm here today. Right now, District 112 is providing better education to the children of our community than it ever has before. Student achievement is growing, and that growth is accelerating. I hope we'll get into more details later on that. Our schools are winning awards, like National Blue Ribbon School Awards, and 3 of our schools earned the exemplary designation from the state of Illinois, the highest available this year. We are closing achievement gaps. We have implemented special targeted interventions for students who perform in the lowest quartile of our schools, and those students, as a result of those interventions, have shown enormous growth and are catching up to their peers. We have restored the status of our district as a destination district where top educators from around our region choose to spend their careers. These things didn't just happen. They're the result of a very intentional program to build a teaching and learning infrastructure to support our teachers that never existed before in our district. We are engaged in transforming the culture of this organization. We're building a culture of mutual trust and support, excellence, and continuous improvement. That comes from how we lead. I have a lot of favorite quotes on this kind of thing. Here's one of them. Great leaders think about what they're going to do for their team. Mediocre leaders think about what they want their team to do for them. We think about what we're going to do for our teachers to help them do their jobs better, and as a result, we're transforming this organization. I'm running for re-election so that we can keep that going. We're not there yet, and I truly believe that we're just beginning to see some results. It's an important time for board continuity. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to stop there and ask for your vote. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Those are our 7 opening remarks, which the candidates had time to prepare. We're going to move into a different segment now where they haven't seen the questions in advance. So we hope you all will distinguish yourselves. But if you want to agree with another speaker, that's okay too. So we might appreciate your decisiveness. We'll try and give everybody equal time. So let's get started. Our first speaker will be Lori Fink. And the question is deceptively simple, but it has several parts. We have, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, the lights keep going up and down. Not sure what's going on. We're back. All righty, thank you for that assist. Okay, so sounds simple, but let me get started on this question. Serving on a board is more than attending a monthly meeting. What other responsibilities are required of a board member? Which sounds simple, but We'd like you to explain the role and relationship between a board member and a superintendent. We'd like you to distinguish between who chooses curriculum and instructional materials. So please tell us your understanding or philosophy of all of these things. Thank you, Lori Fink. You'll be first.
Lori Fink. So school board members serve as elected representatives of the community. They guide the vision and direction of the school district. We are responsible for hiring and evaluating the superintendent and ensuring strong leadership by selecting and assessing the district superintendent. In this case, we're lucky to have Dr. Schroeder, who's already selected for our next superintendent. We're responsible for setting policy and establishing policies that support student achievement and district success. We oversee the budget and ensure financial responsibility. We advocate for students and families, ensuring that all students receive a high-quality education while fostering strong school-community relationships and inclusiveness. We maintain accountability by ensuring that we are transparent, ethical, and adhere to state and federal guidelines. School members and the difference between the superintendent do not manage the daily operations of the schools, but they provide oversight to ensure that the district meets its goals. Their role is to listen, to collaborate, and to make informed decisions that reflect the needs of the students, the staff, and the community. As a person with vast experience in schools, I have the additional benefit of understanding what it's like to be on the other side of those policies and how they impact our teachers, our staff, and our families.
Thank you. Same question with respect to the roles of those various people. I want to hear now from Brian Morgan.
Excellent, thank you. So, without parroting a lot of what we just heard, the additional components to add to this equation are that the superintendent comes to us, they're, for all intents and purposes, the CEO of a corporation. They come to us as a board, and they ask for our feedback, and they ask for our guidance. So what we're able to do is we're able to direct and re-aim in some situations those spirited conversations. A lot of time what will happen is there'll be a perception that the board is not being transparent because of the rules that the board has. We will have private conversations, and in those private conversations we will give honest and open feedback to the superintendent and the district team. We're going to be open, we're going to keep those private. That's the way that works, and it does lead to the transparency perception. But what we also do is we also go out into the community and we have conversations and we hear back and we bring your voice back to the district. And so we're able to take that time and that reflection and give your voice into the equation. And then from that, we can get to the final resolution. We do the biggest component of that is really the ability to work well with other people, respect their beliefs, understand where they're coming from, and translate those ideas. Thank you.
Thank you. Bradley Hergott, will you respond?
Sure. I think, as you guys have heard, the superintendent is responsible for running the district. The board's role is oversight, it's policy, it's governance, it's budgeting, and it is community engagement. But that superintendent role is the most important relationship that the board will have in terms of affecting what the district is able to do, and making sure that we have the right person in the role and that person has the right level of support, has the right leadership team with and around them, and has the board available as both a tool for making sure that the goals for that superintendent are aligned to the community's values and the vision for the district, and making sure that the superintendent is accountable to those goals and setting the right policies so that those goals and outcomes can be effective. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'd like to hear from Art Kessler.
So we've already covered a lot of the material on the superintendent board relationship, so I won't repeat that. But there's a couple things I want to add. The only person that reports to the board is the superintendent. Her role is to hire that person and manage that person, and that's the only person that we manage. So in order to do that, we set the goals for that individual, and then we monitor their performance against those goals. He or she hires the professionals that actually do the work in the district. So I want to talk a little bit about what I'll term the art of school boarding, because the governance structure of a school district is brilliant and frustrating at the same time. We oversee an organization for which, as individuals, we have no authority to do anything. We only have the authority to act as a school board as a whole, and we vote in order to make those decisions. So the way that we actually achieve stuff as individuals is by collaborating with our board members, collaborating with the superintendent, and really studying the issues, listening to the community, and listening to the experts to make the best possible decision for the school district as a whole. In order to do that, we have to tactfully pick our battles, and we have to really, really understand the issues and work with others involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Sharon Levy-Mark.
Thank you. Again, a lot has been covered, and being toward the end, I don't want to repeat things. But what I would like to add is, the first part of the question is, mentioned a board member doesn't just go to one meeting a month. I've been working with school boards on the finance side as an attorney for over 15 years, and have really seen how not only school boards function in general, but I've also been very engaged with our school board since Bennett and Art and Dan and Alex came on board. There's been a lot of change in the last year, or the last 8 years, and I've been paying a lot of attention to it. In terms of community engagement, I said earlier that I enjoy listening to the community and seeing what's going on. But in the past, when I myself had issues, I always went straight to the superintendent and advocated there. I do think there's so many rules when it comes to school boards, how they're run, state law, Open Meetings Act law, that it is really important to understand the gating of what our job would be versus the administration.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Bennett Lasco.
Yeah, hi everybody. I agree with a lot of what's been said. I'll try not to be too repetitive. I think of our relationship with the superintendent is really, we are thought partners for the superintendent. We're a sounding board to refine ideas and plans. We relatively rarely does the direction generated from the board. It's most often in the form of feedback to the superintendent, who's fleshing out the plans for the district. I do want to correct a comment that was made about private conversations. One of the challenges, as Mr. Kessler suggested, is challenges to this. One of them is that we operate in public. The superintendent wants to know what we think about something. He typically has to ask us in an open meeting. He can broadcast information to us outside of the public meetings, but we can't discuss anything other than in a public meeting. And the most important thing really that we do as a board is deliberating. We are a deliberative body. We govern deliberatively. We govern as a team. As someone said, individual board members have no authority to do anything. And that means that we have to do the work to come to decisions together. It means listening deeply and seriously to each other, finding the value in other people's perspectives, bringing in community perspective into the conversations, and doing the work to get to consensus, or as close as we can to consensus. I think our board has been very successful at that. Other boards have not always been, because it's not easy. We have to sometimes check our egos at the door.
Okay, thank you. Our final answer to the same question will come from Jared Fishman.
Thanks, everyone. The role of a board member is, again, to set policy, provide oversight, hold our superintendent accountable, and ensure that we're delivering great exceptional academic results for everyone. It also means being curious, asking great questions, enhancing transparency, and ensuring we collaborate as a board to effectuate the goals of our community. And as a board member, I will respect the role, the responsibility of that role, and make sure that we build consensus whenever possible to move this district forward for everyone.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you all for respecting the time limits. It helps us move forward and give you all equal time when you do so. So appreciate that. And thanks for the education. Okay, we're moving on to a new question, and our first responder will be Ryan Morgan. The question is, culturally inclusive curriculum is under attack by the federal administration. What efforts will you make as a school board member to protect diversity education? And we have an additional topic area. What is your vision of equity in our district? How can you promote that? So, culturally inclusive, diversity, equity. Ryan Morgan will speak. Thank you.
Well, they didn't hit me with a 90-second rule. So this is a loaded question, and probably the biggest topic is to discuss what could be coming down the pipe. There is a gigantic initiative by the current administration nationally to disavow the Board of Education. And so that has reaping consequences. We could be losing funding, we could be targeted because we're in Illinois. There's a lot of variables out there that we don't know about. Effectively, when you vote, you're electing the front line. The current board, some who are in attendance here, and then the 4 positions that we're filling, we will be guiding that policy. Again, as we decided, we just summarized, the superintendent is responsible for how we go about doing that, but we need to be able to provide that information. I believe strongly, as on a personal level, that we need to be able to protect all of those people, everyone involved, all the stakeholders. There are variables that are going to have to play in. There will be legal challenges. It is going to be a really muddy mess. I wish there was a clean answer. I wish I had about a half hour to explain that, but hopefully that gives you some perspective of where I stand. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Bradley Hergott.
I think it's important to recognize the value of culturally inclusive curriculum. I think second, it's important to recognize that we are extremely lucky in this community that we are not more heavily dependent on federal funding than some other places are. So while it's extremely concerning, the ideas of what may happen with the Department of Education, we have some ability to protect ourselves from that, in that we are in a good financial position as a district right now, and that we are able to support our district with minimal reliance on the federal Department of Education. That said, I think that one of the values that the community expressed through the strategic planning initiative was equity as one of our 6 community values. And equity is important when you're talking about any underrepresented group, right? Whether you're talking about English language learners, whether you're talking about people from other cultures who have come to our community, whether you're talking about special education services. And I think it's really important that the district continue the work that it's on for the safe and reliable schools in order to meet students where they are and provide them with the best education possible.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Art Kessler.
Well, it's an interesting question. I'm deeply concerned about the attack on DEI across the country. I'm not as concerned about its impact here on our school district. That's the beauty of local governance of our schools. We receive very little money from the federal government, and so what they do in regards to DEI initiatives in terms of our schools doesn't really concern me. We're lucky to have a supportive community that supports cultural awareness and inclusive equity in our schools. And the best way that we can do that for our students is to ensure that every student receives the best possible education. We do that by differentiating the curriculum and meeting every student where they are and delivering a education that will benefit them to the best extent possible. I think it's important from a curriculum perspective that our curriculum reflects the cultural differences in our community, and we've done a good job of that, and I think we'll continue to do that. I'd love to see us recruit more teachers that better reflect the cultural makeup of our student population. Unfortunately, they're under short supply, but we do the best we can, and we should continue to try to do better. Our strategic plan that is currently in the works addresses this issue of equity and puts it front and foremost in terms of our future direction of the school, and I fully support that. Thanks.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Sharon Levy-Mark.
Thank you. Just picking up on the issue of federal funding. It's a question that someone asked me the other day, what would we do if federal funding was pulled? And to add on to what Bradley and Art were saying, we get local school districts in Illinois get the bulk of their money from property taxes and very little money from the feds. I actually pulled the fiscal 25 audit and took a look at it. We get 2.9% of all of our educational and O&M operations and maintenance funds from the federal government. And 0.05 of that is, or 0.5 of that is for Title I and like free lunch programs. So we are lucky to live in an affluent community where, all of our property taxes are high, and those go to support our schools, and they go to support all the schools, not a particular school based on where you live. As I mentioned earlier, I've been talking a lot to the dual language community, and the one sector that I've not been able to connect with is our Latino immigrant families, who the program is really important for as a means of survival, so that they can learn English and get along in the world. And my time is up, so I'll stop there.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Our next speaker will be Bennett Lasko.
Yeah, thank you. I agree with Mr. Kessler, and I also agree with Sharon's comments. I don't expect that any of the I'll call them initiatives out of the federal government are going to have a lot of impact here. I don't expect they're going to prevent us from doing the things that we do in the equity space. We've done a fair amount of equity work as a board. We did an equity audit. I think we commissioned in 2020. We did a series of equity workshops over 6 meetings in 2021 and 22. Leads one to think about. I have, give some thought to what does equity mean. I think it means a lot of things, a lot of context. It can be a confusing idea. In the school's context, I think it means meeting every child where they are. We have a lot of inequity initiatives that we pursue that I don't think the federal government is going to get involved with. One of them is developing culturally responsive learning environments. This is something we do with professional development for our teachers. They've asked for that. We provide it. We've done community workshops. We look at it in terms of our library book purchasing. I mentioned academic supports for the lowest performing quartile of our kids. That's a major equity initiative in my mind. We are in the process of restructuring our special education programs to make them more effective. Again, I think that's a major equity initiative to support some of our neediest students. We ask ourselves the question from time to time, who are the stakeholders that are not at the table? And we try to think about what do they need, and I'm out of time.
Thank you. Jared Fishman, please.
This is a very important topic, and I'm glad we're able to talk about it with you today. So culturally inclusive curricula is important for student learning. And I think what we need to focus on here is ensuring that our classroom experiences are as vibrant and engaging for students as they can be. And I think we should stand for our values as a community and as a professional civil rights lawyer, that's something that I've spent a lifetime trying to do. And I believe our community's values reflect the work that the district is doing. I want to celebrate that. The district has been responsive to ensure that our curriculum is geared towards the student population in our community. And that's something that is something to be really proud of. And I also want to speak to the idea of federal funding and its impact. We have a substantial percentage of our population, over 20%, who receive free and reduced lunch. And the funds we receive from the federal government in support of that program are important, and we will have to find a way to ensure that that continues if federal funding were to be cut. And I want to focus on that as a measure, as well as the fact that we have Title I schools in our district, and that those funds do impact how we operate. So I want to be mindful of that as we address this. But stand for our values, I think, is a principle that is really important, and I'm so proud to live in a community that does so.
All right, thank you. And our final respondent to this question will be Lori Fink.
As a prior educator, I have worked to ensure culturally inclusive curriculum for my schools. As a board member, I will advocate for inclusive policies. I will engage with our community stakeholders and ensure a collaborative approach to inclusive curriculum that's reflective of the values that we hold here. I will ensure that we provide professional development and that educators receive training in culturally responsive teaching practices. And that we also monitor and evaluate the content of our curriculum. And I think also as our landscape changes, it's important to collaborate with other districts and share best practices and resources. Collaborating with other school districts will help strengthen our efforts and provide a unified stance against initiatives that undermine equity. As the PTO Assemblies Coordinator for Red Oak, I'm really proud of a project that I helped spearhead at the school called We All Live Here. This initiative began with an assembly where students expressed what those 4 words mean to them: we all live here. They drew those words, we took their vision and made a new school logo and launched a Kickstarter campaign to fund an outdoor mural that stood for the ideas of we all live here. Starting with the little kids now know that if someone says something unkind or racist or exclusionary, they say, hey, we all live here. And this initiative showcases the power of partnerships between strong school communities and the home in shaping positive behaviors that we want to see in our kids that demonstrate equity. Like the stop sign, but I could talk about that project all day. Anybody wants to hear more about it?
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry, we just don't have enough time to do that. I assure you all, these candidates would be delighted to talk to you about their views. So maybe you can do so afterwards. We're moving on to another question now. And our first responder for this will be Bradley Hergot. So, moving in an entirely different direction, what will you do, not just say you will do, to ensure that elementary and middle school, junior high libraries will be free of age-inappropriate materials such as pornography and transgender materials from the libraries of these schools?
Yeah.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I'm sorry, a bit of a non sequitur at the end. It's in general about what are inappropriate materials and what you will do to make libraries be free of them. So what will you do, not just say you will do, to ensure that elementary and middle school, junior high libraries will be free of age-inappropriate materials such as pornography and transgender materials?
How disappointing.
Look at, I believe in free speech. I believe in the power of books, and I trust our libraries. I don't think that this is an issue that would be a priority or a focus for me, other than to say that that book banning is an extremely worrisome trend that is going across the country, and I will do anything that I can to make sure that this district takes no part in it.
Thank you.
moments, you've been incredibly still and attentive to them. But no longer, apparently. So we would appreciate it if you let the candidates have their time to speak and did not try and comment on how you feel about what they do and don't say. It's their time to try and ask for your vote, so we want to give it to them. And I don't know whether it's better to be first or last on this question, but thank you. Our second speaker will be Art Kessler.
Yeah, so first of all, ridiculous question. I'll go back to the governance that I talked about. The beauty of the governance, the brilliant part about the governance structure of our school district is that no individual board member has any authority to do anything. So obviously this question came from someone with an agenda in their mind, and that just can't happen. We've got everybody up here, I would hope, would share the same values as all of you do, and no one's going to ban any books in our district, and it's just not going to happen.
I think it's clear how you feel, but this is the candidate's time, so if you could try, I would appreciate it, and let's move on. Are you done?
No, I want to add that I want to second what Bradley said, that I trust our professionals to do the job that they were hired for. We've got excellent librarians. They're doing a great job picking the books that they pick. I have no intention of giving them any direction on how to do their job because they're good at it and they're doing it fine.
Okay, moving on to Sharon Levy Mark.
Thank you. So across the country, our local governments, especially our school districts, people from extreme sides, from either extreme, are trying to take over and get on school boards. A few people have spoken about agendas. Not everybody has a nefarious agenda. Sometimes agendas are only geared to what a person's personal experience has been in the district. You know, all of us who are parents, it's a finite time that you've got kids in the schools. And my agenda is really only to serve all of our stakeholders. I mean, I could address the question, but I think it's been handled. You know, I'm proud to live in a community that really values differences and liberalism. As the granddaughter of, great-granddaughter of people who were murdered in the Holocaust, something like book banning is very, very offensive to me. And even if I'm not on the school board, I would fight very strongly with everything I have to not let that happen in our community.
All right, Bennett Lasco, could you comment, please?
Yeah, so first of all, I think I should give a nod to Bradley Hergot for going first on this question. I think he did a good job with it. I agree with what he said and most of what the others have said as well. I'm troubled by the question because I don't immediately see why pornography and transgender materials belong in the same category, and in my mind they do not. I agree with what's been said. It is not our job to police the books in the library. We hire professionals who do that, and as far as I know, they're doing a great job. If it was brought to our attention, there is such a thing as age-appropriate and age-inappropriate materials. If it were brought to our attention there are age-inappropriate materials in a library, we'd probably have a conversation about that and ask through the appropriate chain of command, starting with the superintendent. We got a complaint from someone in the community that there's something in the library that doesn't belong there. Will you please follow up on that? That's the role of a board member in this kind of thing. I think, other than that, I agree with what's been said. We're not in the business of banning books. We're not in the business of policing what people are allowed to think about or believe about topics that may or may not be controversial. I'll stop there.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Jared Fishman.
I want to thank all the other candidates for their words on this topic and reinforcing for all of you the idea that banned books is not something that any of us would embrace. We want to create opportunities in our schools so that students can enhance learning, learn about others, and do that in a supportive way. And our librarians are an important part of that educational opportunity, and there's some have been under attack, and I think that's tragic to see. And values. I think this is a values proposition that we offer educational opportunities for our students that really enhance their lives. And so we have great libraries. I know my son loves going to his library every week to see himself in books, and that's really, really special. And I just thank our community for being who it is, and offering families like myself a place where we feel safe to be ourselves. So thank you.
All right, the next responder will be Lori Fink.
I support libraries. I support books. Growing up every Sunday, my dad would take me and my sister to the library. That's where we spent every single Sunday. I support our First Amendment rights. I support the right to free speech. I believe that books open up the world. And I do not at all support books closing our world. I think the more books, the better. My priorities as a school board member are a robust, inclusive educational experience for all.
Excellent. And our final comment on this topic will come from Ryan Morgan.
I'm also a huge supporter of books, and the best way to get on the top seller list is to write a book that's going to be banned. As a matter of fact, I peruse that list often, and I read Ban This Book, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. And if you haven't, kudos. I offer that for weekend reading. I love books, and I think that we need to emphasize how to grow that. We just completed the iRead program, which is one of the largest PTO initiatives in the school district. So we've brought in a ton of money based on this very topic, not the banning of said books, but the opening them up and checking out what's inside. So it's absolutely imperative that we look into that. I would also say that there is a little bit of a discrepancy inside what every library has from school to school. And so there is a shortage of, especially elementary grade, reading material. And so I think we would probably focus on trying to expand that. I know some schools are really pushing to try and grow that, but we're going to probably look to reallocate some money and try to grow the library a little bit. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for pushing that boring subject out. We are more than halfway through. Thank you, audience, for being so attentive. And we will probably run a little bit long. I hope that's all right. So, on to a new question. You all are doing such a bang-up job with these complicated questions. We've got some brainiacs up here, I think. This is a multi-part question again, but I will try and do my best because they are 4 different handwritings, so it's an issue with the community. I'll begin with, if the dual language consultant, oh, I'm sorry, did I say that Art Kessler would be the first responder? I should have said that, thank you. If the dual language consultant recommends the program be consolidated at Oak Terrace, will you support the closure of Red Oak? And please explain that. Another comment about, is there a need for the programs due to changing demographics? Another comment about declining numbers of native Spanish speakers. Is that a concern to you? And a fourth question that makes the point, before asking the question, that the questioner feels it was a valuable opportunity for the children in that family. So the initial question is about closing the program at Oak Terrace. How do you feel about that?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the last sentence of the question?
Golly, these are 4 different questions, so I bobbled it a little bit. If the dual language consultant recommends the program be consolidated at Oak Terrace, I said that wrong.
The very last piece was something about the family had a good experience.
Yeah.
Oh, that last piece, yes. Well, it was a long question that I shortened to the question was also enclosed the statement that it was a valuable opportunity, so it was not so much a question as a comment. It was added, I believe, to show me so many people care about this question. So the question is about the dual language program. How do you feel about it?
Can you repeat that second part, though?
Glad to. Second part was about the need for the program. Third part commented on declining numbers of native Spanish speakers.
Okay, so it's a great question, or questions. The dual language program is a permanent part of our district. I'm totally committed to the program It provides the best opportunity we have to educate those who are learning English, and it's important for those students to become members of our society. So without question, it's a valuable program. The issue is we've lost 200 English language learners from our district, and that creates obvious challenges when we're running the program at 2 different buildings. We try to seek a 50-50 mix between English speakers and Spanish speakers, and in order to do that, if the English language learner population is declining, it's going to shrink the size of the program. So I look at the issue the way I hope any board member would look at it, or a candidate would look at it. We need to look at the problem with no preconceived notions, put aside our own personal biases, and we need to listen to the experts. We just hired an expert to give us recommendations. We should ask good questions, and we should bring into the conversation the voice of the community. I'm glad we were able to slow down the process, and during that time I've taken the time to talk to members of the dual language community to understand their perspectives. And Red Oak is a really special place, and no one wants to see Red Oak close, myself included. If the conclusion is that we must close Red Oak, I think it's incumbent upon us to make the case as to why that's the best outcome for students. And I can talk about a lot of things about managing class sizes and concentrating resources and having the ability to pull out groups of students for individualized learning. All that's better enabled in one location.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt, but we are done. I know it's very hard to mash all your thoughts into this brief moment and be so eloquent when you're extemporaneously speaking, but appreciate your efforts to try and stay within the time limit, and we'll move on. Our next responder will be Sharon Levy-Martin.
Thank you. I'm looking around the room and I see a lot of people that I've sat down with to talk about this issue, both over here and in the back. Look, I'm bilingual. I speak fluent Spanish. I did not learn it K through 8. I learned it in an immersive experience, so I think languages are great. Learning languages are great. Number one, as you know, to reiterate, I'm somebody who, for better or for worse, doesn't bring in emotions when it comes to, making important decisions as, would be made having to do with the school district. I don't do that in my everyday life, and I certainly wouldn't bring that to this job. I think it's important, again, to listen to the stakeholders, to consider every stakeholder, to read the consultant's report, to look at all the numbers. One sort of disconnect that I've heard that I really would like to dig into more, obviously not here, is, I think we need to decide what the purpose of the program is. Is it, who is it designated to serve? Is it to promote equity and better outcomes for English learners? And as I said earlier, give them the survivor skills to live in the US and in our community? Or is it just to promote multiculturalism and multilingualism for competitive advantage? I don't know the answer to that. I think that's a really important question, and I enjoy speaking with everyone in a continuous manner about that.
Okay, thank you. Ben Alasko, would you comment?
Yeah, please. So I'll just start by saying, as a board member and as a human being, an individual person who's tried my life to learn Spanish and been engaged with the Mexican American community for most of my life, I am completely committed to maintaining a strong dual language program. That's not something I ever asked a question about. And I'll go even further and say I'm confident that the entire board and district leadership team agrees with me about that. So that program's not going anywhere. One of the reasons for that, to answer one of the questions, is that the data does show us it is in fact the best way to educate the English language learners, to whom we have a legal and I would say moral obligation to equip them to function in America, which is an English-speaking country, of course. The issue arises because, as Mr. Kessler said, we have a fairly sharply declining number of Spanish-speaking English learners in the district. That's caused the size of the program to contract. And at a certain point, as it gets smaller, it becomes harder to operate in one building, and you have come up against this question of opportunities to consolidate resources and build a better program in a single building. We have a consultant. My job as a board member is to hear what that consultant has to say, learn from her, learn from the community, deliberate with my colleagues, try to get to the best solution. I have a completely open mind about what that might be.
Thank you. Jared Fishman?
I look forward to being a board member for our entire community. I will vote with everyone's interests at stake so that we can have the best district that we can have. Board governance includes building the structures and policies to determine the best way forward. It means having informed decisions with stakeholder buy-in. It means talking to those who are impacted to hear their perspective and include them in finding the solutions forward. It means transparency and clear communication, centering decisions based on academics and social and emotional well-being of students. It means acting in a manner to enhance trust. And that's a commitment I will make as a board member, and I look forward to doing that and making whatever is the right decision for our district. Dual is personal. I have children in the program. My wife started her world speaking Spanish first. And I believe that we have an incredible dual language program, and something to celebrate is the fact that we've had dual language in our district for 30 years, nearly 30 years. And I think that no student should have to lose a language to gain a language, and that's something that our district has been committed to, and I'm so happy that we have dual language here, and it's something to celebrate and accomplish what we set out to do, which is deliver incredible academic outcomes for our English language learner population and all students enrolled. Thank you.
Thank you. Lori Fink, would you comment?
I will. As our superintendent and board have stated, our dual language program is a tremendous asset to our community and to our students, giving students valuable bilingual and bicultural skills. Yes, enrollment numbers may influence its structure and location. We must prioritize best practices. We must make data-driven decisions. We must take recommendations from the dual language consultant, Sonia Soltero, and ensure that our program meets the needs of English learners, simultaneous bilinguals, and native English speakers. I strongly believe that the dual language program is for all students, not just those that are learning English, and not just those that are learning Spanish, and not just those that are learning both at the same time. It is important that we support students' academic, linguistic, and social growth. That is the priority for all students. If the school were to close, there are many factors we need to take. We need to ensure who will be impacted the most. Are we prioritizing educational outcomes? Are we engaging families in this process? How can we improve our communication efforts so we're excellent at one-way communication, but how can we improve that two-way communication where we're truly listening to our families that are going to be impacted the most?
Thank you. Ryan Morgan.
Absolutely. I want to apologize to the room that that question was asked with a little bit of a negative connotation. It was kind of accusational about whether or not we would say yes or no based on the information. We are going to make the right decision. We are deeply integrated with the program now, and we are going to continue to vet this out and get the right information. In fact, on Tuesday, I'll be sitting with Dr. Sonia and trying to spend some quality time with her to make sure that she understands the program so she can make an informed decision and then report back to the district. A lot of things come out of the dual language program. First and foremost, we know that when you can't speak the language of the teacher, you can't learn as fast as everyone else. It doesn't mean that you can't learn, you just can't learn as fast. And you need extra resources to prop you up. This DL program is an initiative to prop that up. We started out with a 90-10 requirement where we had 90% English speaking, propping up 10%. And then over the last 8 to 10 years, we made a shift, and I apologize for not knowing the exact date, but we made it a 50-50 split. And we wanted to make sure that it was equitable and fair. And so we have the guidelines in place. What we need to do is we need to get the facts out on the table. We need to understand what's going on, because let's not forget, this is not a Spanish decrease in population. The entire district is dropping. Kids are very expensive. Everything is very expensive. People are making choices, and then what's happening across the nation is that we are losing population. We will invest in it, we will keep it. We've heard from a couple board members that's excellent news that they are committed as well. Dual language program is here to stay. We will support it, and we will get the right support regardless of where it's housed.
Thank you. And the final answer to this question from Bradley Hergott.
Thanks. I think that the way a board member has to approach questions like this is first to be open, to listen both to the experts and to listen to the community. Second, to be creative, right? To think about things in a non-binary fashion, right? So are there different approaches that might make sense, right? It doesn't have to be an either or. How can we think of other approaches that might make sense to address this issue or other thorny issues that may come up? And then to be responsible. And the responsibility comes in a couple of flavors. One is we have to be tied to our community values. And that means we need to make sure that we're thinking about student outcomes and that we're thinking about equity as a value. It also means that we have to be responsible stewards of finances, because you always have to prioritize finances, right? And there are a lot of high-need students in our district, and we want to make sure that, that the money that we spend on them is getting the best outcomes for all of those students. So I think, as people have said, the dual language program is here to stay. There's no reason to get rid of it. It is the best way for English language learners to progress in school. And I think that the program is special because the people are special. And I would look to find a way to make sure that, that we continue to manage to that. Thank you.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Well, we're closing in on the end here. I believe you were warned that we indeed would possibly run long, which we have, but you know, your answers are fantastic. You've done such a great job with complex questions. I'm going to unfairly ask you to do the opposite now and give short answers. So it'll be really hard, but that's what makes this question hard. It's just about one thing, and our first responder will be Sharon Levy-Mark. If you could just wait 5 seconds and everybody locks in their final answer in their brain, you just get to comment on one thing. What is the one thing that you would most like to accomplish as a board member? Lightning round. Have at it, please. Sharon Levy-Mark.
I'm sorry, how much time do you just want us to take for that?
Let's make it a minute, but if you could do less, I would appreciate it. Good question. Thank you. Sharon?
Yeah, giving a short answer, I'm sure is hard. It's hard to just choose one thing. You know, as I've said many times, I'm dedicated to the community and serving the entire community and maintaining that presence on the board, which I think they're doing a good job of right now, of serving all of the stakeholders. And that's something that I want to continue to see.
Thank you. Admirable job. Now we'll go on to Bennett Lasco.
Yes, 1 minute's going to be hard here. As a board member, I like to look. I'm sorry, I apologize. I often look at board service through the lens of tending to the health of a complex organization. We have almost 600 employees. We serve 4,000 children every day. What I'd like to accomplish is to leave the district 4 years from now feeling like this is an organization that's really solid, well-rooted, grounded in this cultural transformation I referred to earlier. I'd like to see strong principals in every building. I'd like to see at least a handful of associate principals that we know are ready to step up into that principal position when we have inevitable turnover. Obviously, I want to see a strong leadership team in the central office, and the same thing, having a strong bench. I want to see us really solidify this culture of engagement and continuous improvement and excellence, And lastly, I'll say I want to really see us succeed in bringing student voice, student choice, and student leadership to the forefront of the classroom. I'd love to talk more about that, but I'm out of time.
Okay, thank you. One thing.
That's all one thing.
Yes, please begin.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So academic outcomes is the one thing that I would make sure that we prioritize. That's why we have our kids in our schools, to see them reach their full potential, and I want to be a board member who drives towards that. And I'm excited for the opportunity that we have to really increase the potential for our students and allow them to have thriving careers and lives. And that would be my focus, and I hope that I'm given the opportunity to be on the board to do just that.
Fantastic. And that was an answer that we had from Bennett Lasko. We'll now go on to Jared Fishman.
Oh, that was
Oh, that
Jared.
was Jared.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting so excited, I forgot. Fantastic. Okay, I'm sorry. We'll go on to Lori Fink.
My vision for District 112 is to be a place where every child thrives, where students are challenged academically, supported socially, and prepared for the future.
Fantastic. Brian Morgan, one thing.
Curriculum and teacher support. We currently have 2 administrator vacancies in the district. We don't share that information openly. We usually share it to the school. So Oak Terrace is missing their building principal, Edgewood's missing their principal. We want to make sure that we've got from the top to the bottom the teacher support that's necessary. AI's here. We need to make sure that we're addressing that correctly and we're learning and engaging our students. We have to address that point. I also want to make sure that average learners are learning the way that they need to and they're on task. High learners need to be challenged as well. The slower learners also need special resources, and I don't want to forget, because we haven't mentioned it yet, the special needs is incredibly important, and it's not the parent's job to go out and advocate and then come in with a book to prove that their kid needs extra help. So those are the things I would learn.
Okay, thank you. Bradley Hergott, one thing.
Yeah, so you don't accomplish anything alone as a board member. So if I'm thinking about something that I would like to help influence, it would be to help establish with the board the values and goals that we set out in the strategic plan as a community, as a way to moor the conversation and the decision making that the board engages in as it goes through all of its business and all of the decisions that it has to make. Tying always back to those community values and those community and the community goals.
Thank you. And bringing it home, Art Kessler.
So we've made tremendous progress in academic achievement, but I think we can and we have to do more because that's our core mission. During my time on the board, we saw a 15% improvement in English and a 9% improvement in math, and we achieved two building level National Blue Ribbon Awards and 3 state exemplary ratings, all for academic performance and closing achievement gaps. To take that next level, that next step forward, that next leap in overall academic achievement, I think we need to focus on a few things. First of all, we need to increase academic rigor. We need to enhance individualized instruction to meet each student where they are. And we need to continue to improve student engagement to keep the students involved in their education and interested in what they're learning. That would be my focus for the next superintendent.
Fantastic. I would like to say that the League of Women Voters believes fervently in an informed electorate, and you all are doing a bang-up job at informing us, so thank you. Now, with the deep cleansing breath, we're going to go on to our last segment. These are remarks that the candidates were able to prepare in advance. So beginning in reverse order, we will hear from Bennett Lasko.
Thank you. It's been a long afternoon. I'll try to be brief in closing. I wish I had a few minutes to rethink the closing remarks in light of the conversation, but I don't, so I'm going to give you what I had prepared in advance. When I first ran for, well, let me say, I hope you've heard enough today to have a pretty good idea of who I am and how I think about District 112 and how I think about board service. When I first ran for election of school board 8 years ago, this district was in turmoil. Realtors were sharing stories of home buyers who were avoiding Highland Park, Highwood, and Fort Sheridan because of uncertainty and anxiety about the schools. We had board meetings after the referendum that failed in 2016. There were board meetings that devolved into shouting matches. The superintendent, CFO, 2 board members all resigned. And you know, it was a mess, okay? Well, I ran on a platform together with Mr. Kessler to put the divisiveness behind us, resolve the facilities issues that were driving a lot of divisiveness, balance the budget, and refocus the resources of the district on excellence in education. I think that together with my colleagues and the leadership team, we have delivered on that promise. And we are doing all of those things. Educational excellence is the focus of the district. We've shown a lot of results. I think we have a lot more results to show to come. So I feel confident in telling you I've made a positive difference. I hope you agree. I've been honored and flattered to have all these members of my community put their trust and confidence in me in this position. I would be honored to have your vote for re-election.
Thank you. Final remarks from Sharon, maybe Mark?
Thank you. I am sort of reworking my closing because having gone first on the last question and sticking to the rules, I feel like I didn't really get to my point across. For me, my main priorities over the short term, especially the next 4 years, is fourfold. I'd like to make sure that our taxpayer money is well spent, that we're ensuring successful outcomes for our children, that we're maintaining steady leadership and support during the superintendent transition, and maybe not most importantly, but we haven't spoken very much about working families, continuing to advocate for working families, which is something I've done throughout my time in Highland Park. Every day, my job requires me to work in a team environment with stakeholders who have different priorities, unpack dense material, listen actively, and ask thoughtful and sometimes tough questions to work towards solutions and compromise. To me, these are the skills that are needed to have not only as an individual board member, but to have a board that works together and works for everyone. You can learn more about me by going to my website, reaching out to me directly. This is not the perfect format for me. I'm better with like longer discussions. So I'd be happy to talk to anyone. Thanks again to the league. Thanks to all the candidates for running, and I hope you will vote for me.
Okay, some final thoughts from Art Kessler.
So I just want to reiterate that it's really an exciting time to be involved in District 112. When I was first elected to the board, the district was facing projected budget deficits, deferred maintenance on old underutilized buildings, low student achievement, and organizational disarray, having just lost our superintendent. And myself, with my colleagues on the board, including Bennett, we really turned around the district. And now I think we're poised to make another giant leap forward. And I'm super excited to be a part of that going forward. Education shapes the future of our children, and it's critical to producing productive, responsible citizens. We also know that great schools are an integral part of a great community, and you can't have one without the other. In a community like ours, where so many people return to the community, as I did, to raise their family, education and excellent schools gained even more importance. I'll be proud to serve another 4 years in pursuit of excellence and in service to our children and our community. Thank you for your time and hopefully your support.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Bradley Hergot.
Thanks, Carol, for moderating this. Thank you to you guys for coming, to the League of Women Voters for hosting such an important event. And I want to thank my fellow candidates. It's a sign of a strong community that so many people are willing to raise their hands, to volunteer to serve the community in this role, and I'm really appreciative of that. We've got some big issues on the horizon for the district. We've got a superintendent transition, we've got building construction that needs to be completed. There's potential chaos with the Department of Education, and there is the always onward march of technology and AI and things like that. I've got a history of public service, working as a pro bono attorney, running a clinic in Pilsen, volunteering as a team mentor, and I've got a history of board experience, both in the nonprofit and in the school board arenas. I think that this history and this experience is going to help me be well positioned to participate as a member of this team, and I hope you guys vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Ryan Morgan.
Thank you. I'd like to thank all the elected members in this room, everyone. We've got a vast group of people from City Council, School Board. This is a hard job and it is thankless. Thank you. Thank you for getting us to this level. Our school district is fantastic, but I do believe that we can do better. There's a reason you see 7 people at this table. This is a hard process to get to this level. And we've put in all the work because we believe that we can all do better. We will all sit back and we will all do the best job that we can. I'm hoping that you'll vote for me. It is crucial that the board represents parents, teachers, and students, and voices that understand the daily realities. As a lifelong learner in the classroom experience, I know the challenges teachers face and the balancing act that families have. They have to balance work, home life, homework, and staying on top of multiple school labs. My background in engineering, education, and business, along with an active involvement in the school community, equips me to support the strategic and practical needs of our district. I'm committed to our families and our children's future. We are currently undertaking an important reconstruction project, supported by our community's investment. While we complete this, we must also focus and provide the best educational experience for all of our children. By investing in evidence-based tools and fostering continuous improvement, we can ensure every student has the opportunity to succeed. Together, we can create the schools of our future.
Thank you. And next, we'll hear from Lori Fink.
Thank you to my fellow candidates. Thank you to everybody who came here to listen and participate. And thank you to the League of Women Voters for providing this platform and giving us the opportunity to introduce ourselves. As a parent, educator, and community leader, I understand the importance of making thoughtful, informed decisions that put the needs of our students, educators, and families first. I have a strong belief in civic duty, once again, thanks to my dad, who led the local Chamber of Commerce and United Way, and I'm looking forward to contributing to our board in my area of expertise. Throughout my career, I've worked tirelessly to build partnerships between schools and communities, ensuring that every student has the support and resources they need to succeed. I believe that every child deserves a public education that nurtures their potential and empowers students with the skills, confidence, and knowledge to succeed academically and socially in and beyond the classroom. I'm committed to working collaboratively with all stakeholders to address the challenges we face and create solutions that work for all. Whether it's improving our communication between our schools and families, supporting our educators, or ensuring equitable access for all learners, I will always prioritize what is best for students. I ask for your support on Election Day. Your vote is powerful, and together we can create a connected, supportive, and thriving community. Thank you again for your time. Think, think.
Thank you. A final comment will come from Jarrett Fishman.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for the chance to introduce myself and to all of you for being here today. My grandparents taught me you are measured in your life by how you live your values. Their words led me to a career of public service. It is why I became a civil rights lawyer. My core value, the belief in loving my neighbor as yourself, is why I'm a candidate and will work to continue our legacy of exceptional education for all. I believe in District 112. It is a belief that has formed from nearly a decade of experience volunteering in support of our schools. We have all the infrastructure for success. We have highly capable administration, exceptional teachers, amazing parents, inquisitive students, and finally, the facilities that will match. The 3 pillars of my campaign are academic outcomes, fiscal responsibility, and community engagement. I've been working to support each of these pillars in my volunteer roles. I'm running now because I'm prepared to contribute. Again, after nearly a decade of supporting our schools, I know the role of a school board. I've established a relationship with the administration and community, and I understand many of the challenges and unique opportunities within the district. I'm excited for the future of our community and District 112. Together, we will continue a legacy of high-performing schools for our children so they will thrive in their lives and their careers. I hope to earn your vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All that's left to say is
Thank you all for coming, and I want to just thank again our volunteers within the League of Women Voters, our moderator, and our Sam Piro, who's also a League member and who's doing the recording for us. But everyone here today for coming out, especially, it's really great to see your engagement.
Thank you.